got on buses 4 o'clock, some 5 o'clock this morning to be here. But I want you to take notes so as you get these briefings, when we go into your district offices and do Q&A, you know what you're talking about. Because this is of vital importance. A month after the election, I got a call from President-elect at the time, Donald Trump, and he asked to meet. I would not meet unless we could bring other civil rights leaders, which he wouldn't agree to. And but he said in the course of the conversation that he and I are one of or two of 3 or 4 New Yorkers that have been known since the 80s. One of the other is our minority leader in the U.S. Senate. I've known since the 70s. And 2 of the 3 of us have done what we felt is best for New York. The jury is still out on the 3rd one, who is now sitting in the White House. And this man has been a fighter and has been always accessible to his constituents at home, no matter how big he has gotten nationally. He's become the face of the party nationally, and he's been the name on Twitter coming out of Pennsylvania Avenue. But he has never forgot that he is the senator from New York. He's never got his Brooklyn roots. He's with us every Martin Luther King Day. He's been with us Legislators Day. He knew National Action Network when it was national by name and not really national. Now that we have chapters everywhere, we have people here from Macon, Georgia, from Thomasville, Georgia. Raise your hand as I call your chapter. South Jersey, Richmond, Virginia, Greater of Richmond, Washington, D.C., New York City, Newark, New Jersey, South Brooklyn, and Michigan. They're already in the house. These are our chapter leaders around the country. I want you to know that he meets quarterly at his request with the leaders of the major civil rights organization. When we first asked to meet with him, when he became minority leader, he said to me, we must do this every 3 months. Your people must be informed of the policy so that we're not engaged in just distractions in the media, but what is of substance and what's going to mean something to the people. So it is my honor to bring the minority leader of the United States Senate Democrats, as well as the senator from New York, as well as our reigning homeboy from Brooklyn, Senator Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, Rev. And we are homeboys. We know each other since, as the Reverend said, the 70s, when we were both young men. And our friendship has been great, and I have watched Reverend Sharpton grow, as we say, from strength to strength. And he is a great national leader, and we very much need him at this time more than ever. Let's have a round of applause for the Rev. And I'd like to thank Ebony Riley, who we work with. She's down here in D.C., and Magali Normal, head of our chapter leaders, and I'm glad to see, I heard the New Yorkers got on a bus at 4 a.m. to come here, so thank you, New Yorkers. And we don't have anyone from Alabama here, but we got a Senate seat up in Alabama, and the man running, Doug Jones, was the person who reopened the case 40 years after those men who had dastardly killed 4 children in a church in Birmingham and were acquitted by a state jury. This man, as U.S. attorney, reopened the case and put them behind bars where they belonged. And he's now running for the U.S. Senate. And the only way we're going to win, you know Alabama, is with enhanced African-American turnout, which we're working on very heavily. So if you have friends in Alabama, make sure they and their pals get out to vote on December 12th as the election. And I also want to recognize we have a lot of my congressional friends here. Jim Clyburn's a great guy, and I'm not going to recognize everyone, but being a New Yorker, as the Reverend said, Adriano Espiat, our new congressman from Northern Manhattan, and the Bronx is here. Thank you, Adriano. One other thing, Rev, I walked in and I saw this nice crowd, and then I saw from the side a red hat. And I said, uh-oh, was that a Trump infiltrator? Well, it doesn't say make America great again, it says something much better, free DC. So glad you're here, free DC. Okay, well, a few things that I would like to address you on. These are tough times. They are times that try the souls of men and women. But our answer has to be to resist, to fight, to stand up. If we get worn down, if we get tired, if we get apathetic, then the bad forces in America, which seem to have so much predominance today, will roll over us. But together, if we stand up, your friends in the House and Senate, and you on the streets, we can beat this back. I cut my eye teeth during the Vietnam War. We hated that war. And no one thought we could topple the most powerful man in the world, Lyndon Johnson. That's how I got involved. I was 18 years old. I was cut from the basketball team my freshman year at college. That was supposed to be my ticket. Although our team wasn't that good. At Madison High School in Brooklyn, where I went, our team's motto was, we may be small, but we're slow. Anyway, I got cut from the team. A guy knocked on my door that night. I didn't know what I'd do with myself. Says, come up to New Hampshire, work to end the Vietnam War. And I'd never seen such activity on the streets. And there was a man named Eugene McCarthy running. He's a strong leader. And in the New Hampshire primary, we did so well that Lyndon Johnson, the most powerful man in the world, said, I'm not going to run again. The people are against me. That was when my start in politics. And let me just say this. I have never seen such energy and power out in the streets until this year. And if we keep it up, we will topple the most powerful man. Electorally or otherwise. Keep it up. Let me go over a few issues here that I want to bring up with you. Perhaps the greatest issue we face is income inequality. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and the middle class is struggling to hang on to that middle class-ness that they have had. And this is our greatest struggle. Now, the tax bill, and Clyburn mentioned it, does the opposite. Huge tax breaks for the richest people, increased burdens for middle class and poor people. This is what they believe. This is what Trump believes. This is what the Republicans believe. And it will make things even worse. We are leading a strong fight in the Senate, and I know you'll hear from Leader Pelosi later, and she and Jim and the others in the House, to beat this horrible bill. To beat this horrible bill. And let me tell you its consequences. If they get to increase the deficit the way they do by so reducing tax cuts on the rich, they will have to cut Medicaid. They will have to cut Medicare. They will have to cut housing. They will have to cut food stamps. They will have to cut infrastructure and transportation for a decade. For a decade. The very kinds of things that the people we all represent need will be gone. And there'll be just huge tax breaks for the richest people and the wealthiest corporations. We have to stop it, and we are doing everything we can to stop it. Another issue, we're going to do a budget at the end of the year. This commission on voting that was set up by President Trump, led by one of the most awful people in America, Chris Kobach.
Yes, you mean one.
Is trying to take away our voting rights. That's what they want to do. I am so furious at the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, because when he sided with the Shelby decision, which reduced the Voting Rights Act, which I was so proud to support over the years, he said there's no discrimination anymore. We don't need it. And within a year, 19 states made it harder for people to vote. And in 3 cases, I think it was, they caught their email saying, this will make it harder for African Americans to vote. This commission now is supposed to find fraud. There is hardly any fraud. handful of cases. But there are millions of people, but they put barriers in the way of trying to vote. So I want to tell you this, it is one of the things we are going to try to do when we have this budget proposal at the end of the year, is defund Chris Kobach's commission so it would be no more. In terms of voting rights. Let me just talk about a couple other things that we're trying to get done here. We can't win just by criticizing Trump. We got to show people what we're going to do for them. And so we Democrats are putting together a whole plan to help the middle class and people struggling to get to the middle class. The ladder's up. And this proposal has a lot of things that I think you will like. We will stand nationally for a $15 minimum wage. So when you work all day, you can live a life of dignity. And we will have provisions in there so that they can't get around these minimum wage. You know, I met a nice lady from Brooklyn, from East New York, named Sharika Hudson. She lives in East New York. She lives in a house with 6 other families because she can't afford anything much herself, because she makes minimum wage cleaning toilets at Kennedy Airport. She gets on a bus, 2 hours to get to Kennedy Airport back. She said to me, Senator, if the minimum wage went up, I might be able to buy some Christmas toys for my children. I might be able to go eat at a restaurant. They pass McDonald's, they say, Mommy, can't go in. This woman works hard. She's not going to be rich on a 15. And what's happened, by the way, is the airlines and all these other big companies have contracted out all of these other jobs so they're not subject to any kind of regulation that can treat the people so badly. We are going to say no matter where you work, no matter who contracted out to who, you get $15 an hour and you can live a life of decency and dignity. We are proposing a $1 trillion infrastructure investment, roads, highways, all of that stuff, which will create 15 million jobs, and there will be strong minority business provisions in there that if they're going to get this money, they have to, some of that money has to go to minority businesses and minority employees. We're talking about paid family and sick leave. When I was a kid, I had a mom, a dad. My dad worked, my mom stayed home. You didn't need sick leave and you didn't need child care. Now, with so many families having single parents, and even when there are 2 parents, both have to work given the economic conditions, we need both. We need paid sick leave, and we need child care, good child care. This is all in our better deal. Our Democratic better deal includes every one of the things we're talking about. And lower prescription drug costs. Go after when these hedge funds buy these pharmaceutical companies and then charge record amounts of money, we stop. We have a special prosecutor to go after it. We also have a job training tax credit. A business that wants to train an employee. We have a great little place in Bed-Stuy, and IBM funded it. They train people to the young kids to program. Every single one gets a job, average pay starting out $75,000. We're going to spread that across the country with tax credits. We're training young people for jobs. So we are doing a lot in our special deal. We're fighting them, but we're also putting forward things that should we win the majority, it's not just fighting somebody else, it's doing something good for people, which hasn't been done in a while, and we will be there. In conclusion, I want to say to you this. These are tough times. And what Donald Trump wants to do, what some of the people around him want to do, is wear us down. Are we going to be worn down? No. Are we going to fight all the way? Are we going to bring America back to her better ideals? I'm with you all the way. Thank you, National Action Network.
Give another hand, Senator Chuck Schumer. And as I said, he and I have worked together since the 70s, and he's been a stalwart with National Action Network. And you heard him say about the need of the vote in Alabama. Again, we don't tell you who to vote for, but we need to get the vote out. I'm gonna come and do our show, our radio show, a couple states, Alabama, but Virginia and New Jersey is Tuesday. All about New Jersey chapter leaders and our Virginia folk. Make sure you get back home. I'm touring over the weekend. These are our get out the vote efforts must pay off. Again, I do not want, even though we are basically faith-based, I do not want us just sitting around praying that the president gets impeached. We've got to work and bring the vote out and the issues. They need to know what this tax bill means. They need to know what all of the things that Senator Schumer and Congressman Clyburn has laid out. That's why I wanted to have all of you chapter leaders here. We've got, nobody does demonstration better than us, but you need legislation. And Chris Matthews just wrote a book on Bobby Kennedy that he'll be on my show, Politics Nation, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. Elizabeth Warren watches it every Sunday. She refuses to go to church till she sees it. And he'll be on. One of the things that people do not understand is Dr. King and Roy Wilkins, the civil rights leadership of that era, worked with those in the Senate and Congress. So they created a climate for them to legislate. Our job, demonstrate without me making policy and legislation, is just exercise. We've got to have a coordinated strategy. Let me bring on now a lady who has captured the imagination of this country, talking about economic disparities, talking about income inequality. As we all celebrated and embraced and then joined the Occupy movement, the Kennedy to the Occupy movement was this lady, where you had a voice in the Senate that came from the grassroots and capitalized that and has continued to do that. And you remember, many of you chapter leaders at our national convention in April, I remember she couldn't come, but she sent a video. We hope she will be with us in the future. But she said, Reverend Al, I so much want to be there because it's these kind of grassroots leaders we need. And she was the first to say, I want to be there when they come to Washington, and she's here with us. She is certainly a vital national force, as well as a force as the senator from Massachusetts. May I bring to the leaders of National Action Network the senator from Massachusetts, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Thank you. It is so good to be here. Thank you, Reverend Al, for the very kind, very generous introduction. And yes, that's what I do on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, church starts later, so we can manage to get both. You know, I want to say a very special thank you. Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network and the people in this room have worked together for progress, for civil rights, for economic opportunity. You have helped make real, on-the-ground change, and you've done it, and I am very grateful to you.
Excuse me? Could you slightly move over?
No, I don't have to tell you that here in Washington, we are up against some really tough fights. The Trump administration and the GOP Congress is working night and day and day and night and night and day to roll back our progress. But that's not all. They're working to turn back the clock to a time when discrimination was okay with our government. We know what they're up to. This is the latest version of the old divide and conquer strategy. Hate and racism have divided America for a long time. Failing schools, blaming black and brown kids. Bad jobs, blaming the immigrants. drugs, crime, always find them to blame. For those on top, divide and conquer is a great strategy, because when we turn on each other, we can't unite to fight against a system that is rigged in favor of the wealthy and the powerful. And we are here today because we are united. We are here today because we will fight back against the rigged system. We know what we're fighting for. We're fighting for dignity and for respect for all. We're fighting for economic opportunity for all. We're fighting for justice for all. That is the basic promise of America, but it doesn't happen on its own. It is up to each of us to make it a reality. So when the Trump administration and the Republicans take steps to undermine equal rights, to roll back economic opportunity, or to subvert equal justice under law, then we're going to call them out and we're going to fight back every single time. Can I have an amen on that? You know, look, the list of things that we could call the Trump administration out on is a very long list. Health care repeal, tax giveaways for the rich and the powerful, siding with Wall Street banks instead of with the families that they cheat. But I know there are a lot of speakers today, so I'm just going to spend a few minutes on calling out the Trump administration and the GOP on two fronts. The first is on criminal justice, and the second is on voting rights. You know, Jeff Sessions is a man who was too racist to be confirmed to the federal judiciary back in the 1980s. Right. And when President Trump named him to be his attorney general, we knew exactly what was going on. But if Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions think that we're going to shrug our shoulders and that we're going to retreat and let them implement policies that are designed to destroy our communities, then they need to think again. We are not in a retreat frame of mind. Now, we will not ignore what's happening in this country. We won't sit down and shut up when black men and women are still dying at the hands of those sworn to protect them. We will affirm Black Lives Matter again and again and again and again until it is true. We will end the epidemic of locking up black and brown people, men and women, for low-level, non-violent crimes. And we won't stop until everybody, regardless of their skin color or the neighborhood they live in or their income level, finds equal justice under law. We are united in our mission. We are together on this. But divide and conquer is not just about criminal justice. There's another tool of oppression that the Republicans are using, and that's the attack on the right to vote. Make no mistake, the right to vote is under attack. A right-wing Supreme Court guts voting rights. State legislatures ram through voting suppression laws. And a so-called Election Integrity Commission wants the states to turn over voters' birth dates and social security numbers. Think about that. We will defend the right to vote. We will not add one penny of support and not 1 ounce of legitimacy to President Trump's so-called election commission. We will not. We will pass a new Voting Rights Advancement Act, and we will demand legislation to protect every citizen's right to vote. Now, in America, our government derives its power from the consent of the governed, and that means the right of our people to vote. And we will, once again, defend that right. All of us will defend that right. Here's the way I see it. All of our fights are interconnected. This is about investing in an economic future for all of our kids, not just the kids that were born into wealth. This is about defending the dignity and the rights of every person in this country, not just those who already have power. This is about making our government work, not just for those at the top, but making it work for all of us. The fights in Washington are tough now, but you don't get what you don't fight for. Right, Reverend Now? That's right. So, I'm here today because I am in these fights all the way. And I'm here today because I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. We're going to get the fight. We're going to get what we fight for. Thank you all. Thank you.
Senator Elizabeth Warren. I don't think she equivocated at all in where we are and where we're going together. We're glad. And many of them are doing hearings, but they're coming in out of respect to the leadership being here. And as I said before, we break down this afternoon and visit our districts. Let me say this.